The home opener rang in a new era in Foxborough. Patriots Hall of Famer Mike Vrabel has been charged with bringing the team back to glory, but his debut performance did not go as planned.
Patriots Unfiltered on TV is brought to you by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
It was a matchup of two former Patriots starting over with new teams. And Pete Carroll's Raiders got their first ever win at Gillette Stadium. Hello again, everyone. I'm Alex Francisco.
Coming up tonight on Patriots Unfiltered on TV, Mike Vrabel talked about winning the second half. We'll look at what kept the Patriots from taking control after halftime. It's the Patriots' annual visit to their House of Horrors in Miami. Why both the Patriots and the Dolphins will have extra motivation this week. And Fred Kirsch tells us why first impressions are not always what they seem. Now it's time to huddle up with Paul Perillo and Mike Dussault.
The reality did not meet expectations for the Patriots in week one. Paul, Deuce, felt like a tale of two halves in that game, a season opening loss to the Raiders. In your opinion, what was more disappointing, the performance on offense or defense?
For me, it's the offense. It's just because you saw some glimpses of possibility there. And in the second quarter, it felt like they found their stride a little bit. They moved the ball. Should have had 3 straight scoring drives with that one field goal miss sticking out there. And even in the third quarter, when they came out of the locker room, they were moving the ball initially before that interception. But from that point, it all seemed to unravel for them. Drake Maye never really seemed to settle back down. They had a bunch of 3-and-outs and punts, and then that was kind of it until that garbage time drive. So for me, just try to extrapolate that performance and do it. That's why I'm more disappointed in the offense.
Yeah, I would agree that the offense was a little bit more disappointing, and I don't think the defense was very good either, even though they only allowed 20 points. I think that's a little deceptive based on the way that they allowed Geno Smith to once again carve them up. But they were without their best player. You know, Christian Gonzalez is a significant piece that's missing out of that secondary, so you thought there might be some struggles on the back end, and there were. There was a stretch there late in the first quarter through the second quarter where it seemed like the Patriots had the ball the entire time, and they came away with 3 points. So I felt like you needed to take control of the game right there. I think they shot themselves in the foot too often. Too many mistakes, too many penalties, and then the second half, everything collapsed.
You guys are right. I think, especially in that second quarter, they started to settle into that offense. But like you said, they couldn't really capitalize. Then you go into halftime. Was it that interception for Drake Maye that really changed things, or Vegas just making adjustments?
I think it was more just Drake kind of losing his touch a little bit. I don't know how much different Vegas really was. It seemed like they were pretty much just playing zone for most of the game, sitting back, forcing him to take the underneath passes. And as we've seen, Paul, and this is something we've talked about with Drake, is he able to just consistently take those underneath check downs, what's there, take the profit. It's a big mantra of Josh McDaniels. And we saw Drake kind of break down a little bit there. So I'd put it more on him for now. And I think he said similar things that, a lot of then after that point, it was just getting that first down. They couldn't seem to do that. One play, I think, was the next drive right after that where he missed Hunter Henry, just a little sit route right there. Those things add up for this offense, and right now I just don't think they're good enough to overcome long down and distance situations.
He did miss some very makeable throws, but I will say that I was impressed with the Raiders. I do think they adjusted in the second half, not so much in the secondary, and I thought they heated them up a little bit in the second half and brought extra pressure at times. And I do think that affected the interception, which I think, and Mike talked about this in our postgame show, I thought that was the single play that turned the tide in the second half. That interception, I think, gave the Raiders a whole lot of confidence.
Will Campbell makes his rookie debut, and I don't want to pick on him too much when we're evaluating the offensive line performance, and Max Crosby was absolutely everywhere. How do you feel like the line held up?
I thought they were okay. I mean, really, my biggest concern was the run offense. There was no rushing attack, and I think that really hampered the pass protection. I see it a little bit as all connected. I wouldn't highlight the pass protection as being the biggest problem in this game. I'd start first with the run block.
Yeah, the line was not great, and I would totally agree with Mike talking about the run. We felt like going into this game, Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, and Travion Henderson would give them an opportunity to be balanced offensively, keep that pass rush at bay, and it really never materialized. They could not run the ball. They had one 14-yard run on a 3rd and 1 that was kind of a trick play where they They got Henderson to the edge on a quick handoff to the. Other than that, they could not run the ball. I believe Ramondre Stevenson had 15 yards rushing in this game, and 17 came after contact. So this is the same old story that we've did different guys up front, but they're not doing a good enough job of opening up holes in the run game. You had 2 rookies starting on the left side. Let's give them some time to get their feet wet. I believe they'll get better, and I believe the offensive line will be a better unit moving forward.
One bright spot on offense, I think, was Kayshon Boutte. I think we clearly saw that Drake Maye was comfortable with him in the offseason. He was throwing the ball to him a lot, and that materialized in the game. Other than that, we had Diggs make his Patriots debut. What were your just big picture observations about that receiving corps?
Yeah, I would have liked to seen a little more at Diggs. I mean, I think maybe they're easing in him a little bit more than we anticipated because it has seemed like he's fully healthy. But, I was a little surprised. I think 2 elements that we saw all summer long were Travion Henderson and Mac Hollins. They were big parts of the offense when we got in those joint practices. And, credit to the Raiders defense. They did not let Travion Henderson get going. Mac Hollins drew a pass interference penalty, but otherwise he was pretty quiet. So clearly Drake Maye has confidence with that back shoulder throw to Kayshon Boutte. Teams are going to start to be aware of that, though. But great hands by Boutte. That's his, he had a 100-yard game in last year's season finale. He had another 100-yard game, so he's got 200-yard games in a row. It is a silver lining.
And I do expect to see more of Diggs. He was limited. I have to think that was by design. I think we'll see more and more of him as we go on.
Yeah, we can only hope. Other side of the ball, Geno Smith had 362 yards. 11 big plays for the Raiders that the Patriots let up. I mean, I know Harold Landry had 2 sacks. Jalen Hawkins had that one on a safety blitz there. My question is, when they're attacking like that on defense and kind of throwing those blitzes, does that create a liability for other parts of the field?
Yeah, I mean, it sure looks like it. And we talked to it coming in, like this might be a little bit of boom or bust. They're going to be aggressive, and you look at the pass rush and pressure numbers, they look really solid. I mean, they were good in the pass rush, but they gave up a lot of. They stopped the run, but they gave up a lot of big passing plays, and that ultimately was what made the difference.
There was one of those cliches in football where they just couldn't seem to marry the two together. When they got pressure, the coverage was lacking. When they, had decent coverage, the pressure wasn't getting home. And I do think they spun the dial a little bit and tried to get more aggressive. Unfortunately, they weren't able, and none of the plays illustrated it more than that late 3rd and 20. Carlton Davis gets beat in the double move, which can happen, but you'd like to think situationally, you're coming after the quarterback, you're looking for a big play defensively. Just sort of sit there and let him catch the underneath ball and tackle him, and you get the ball back. At least you have one last-ditch effort. You can't let a guy get behind you in that situation.
Yeah, I'd credit Geno Smith. I thought he did a good job.
He was really good again.
Navigating the pocket, even when there was some pressure, delivering the ball with pressure in his face. And, when there wasn't pressure, guys weren't able to get home, he was making big plays.
Let's put a bow on this game against the Raiders. Mike Vrabel makes his coaching debut. He spoke all week about, winning the second half, and they didn't do that. So just curious, what do you guys think about his management of the game?
Well, I mean, I think there were, some moments that we questioned, like the 4th and 10, maybe going for it down the end. But, that's how it goes in games like this. You got to make decisions on the fly. What you believe is, you're going to get a stop. He didn't get the stop. So I think there are elements from this game to extract and say, hey, run defense was pretty good. We did get some pass rush. But we've got to sync up the back end. We've got to figure out the coverage and get that all together so that, when a defense is playing it as one, you see it. You see all the timing. You see the quarterback goes to throw the ball. The coverage is there. The sack gets there right after that. And then offensively, let's look at that second quarter and say, look, what were we doing right there? We were starting to find a little bit of a stride. Last point, when we do make an interception early in the third quarter, it cannot derail the rest of the game. We have to be able to bounce back and show some mental toughness. And that starts with Drake Maye. So he knows that. He's got to be better.
In 2003, the Patriots cut Lawyer Malloy before the first regular season game. They went to Buffalo and lost 31-0. Afterwards, ESPN's Tom Jackson famously opined, "This team hates their coach." In 2014, the 2-1 Patriots went to Kansas City on a Monday night and lost 41-14. In his post-game analysis of New England, Trent Dilfer emphatically declared, "They're not good anymore." Last year, the Patriots opened the season in Cincinnati and won 16-10. The consensus take about what we had just witnessed was a buttoned-up team that would be a tough out for any of their opponents. The common thread through all these games is that they had no bearing and were not at all indicative of what the season's team was all about. 2003 and 2014 ended with championships. 2024 was a 4-win season despite that opening game. So let's hold the conclusions about the 2025 edition of the Patriots for a little bit. Don't buy into the hysteria. The Patriots will need to play a whole lot better than they did last Sunday, but they've got a whole lot of time to do just that. So let's keep calm and carry on.
Coming up next, a preview of a Dolphins team that is reeling after being blown out in their season opener. Trash talk separates what Patriots fans shouldn't be worried about as they head into their first divisional game. And later, I go one-on-one with Patriots cornerback Alex Austin.
Patriots Unfiltered on TV is brought to you by Cross Insurance, official insurance broker of the New England Patriots, and by Sports Illustrated Tickets. 50 million sports, concerts, and theater tickets. Same seats, better prices. Fans deserve better.
You're watching Patriots Unfiltered on TV.
What's up, everybody? It's Evan Lazar. Welcome into the Patriots Unfiltered on TV film room. Today, we're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins against the Patriots on Sunday down at Hard Rock Stadium. And I want to take you back to the 2023 season, the last time Mike Vrabel saw Tua in this Dolphins offense, and break down how the Titans were able to throw Tua off his game. So I think the big thing that you see with Miami is that they are always going to try to throw the ball into the middle of the field. They want to hit these targets right between the hashes here and here. And if you're the Pats and if you're facing Tua, the big key, get him off his spot and get to the middle of the field. So a little kind of things on the Dolphins offense here. Tyreek Hill hiding here. They're trying to hide him. They're going to motion him out into the pattern, and he's going to run a deep dig. And then we have the dagger right there clearing this thing out. And what the Titans are going to play as we roll this a little bit is a tricky cover 2 coverage. So if we can just stop it right there for a second. What you see is the corner dropping into the deep half, and then this player right here is the key. Amani Hooker, he's going to sit right in this dig window right there. They're going to get some interior pressure. That's also very important. And as we roll it again, Tua's going to have to check the ball down. So if you're going to beat the Dolphins, that's Jack Gibbons, by the way, making the tackle right there, Patriots linebacker. So if you're going to beat the Dolphins and you're going to beat Tua, what you got to do is you got to get him off his spot, get him out of rhythm, and make sure you take away the middle of the field.
Miami head coach Mike McDaniel is seemingly already one of those guys who's on the hot seat, and the season just started. Were you surprised to kind of see that score of Miami against the Colts?
The Colts scored every single drive. You turn the ball over twice right out of the get-go, and now you're going to face a really angry Miami team that desperately needs a win in their home stadium, which has been a hard place for the New England Patriots to play going back to the 1960s. So it's a big matchup.
Well, I was the dope that actually picked the Dolphins to win the game. So, yes, I was surprised to see it not even be competitive. And again, Tua turns the ball over 3 times. You're not going to win very many games when your quarterback, is not making any plays and he's giving the ball away. Week 1, Mike McDaniel's on the hot seat. I can't imagine it got any cooler after that performance.
Certainly not. And like you said, 3 turnovers. He threw for 114 yards. 14 for 23, not a single completion under pressure. So how can the Patriots take advantage of this?
Yeah, well, looking
I
at
think
it,
they should get some pressure on him, Mike.
that pressure's always good, you would think. For me, the biggest problem in the past with Tua is that I think he's really good, especially on early downs with timing throws. And when you had the old Patriots defense that was more interested in kind of building the wall and letting the linebackers make play, you didn't get early down pressure against him. And he's 7-0 against the Patriots. He completes a lot of passes against them. So I'm looking at the Patriots pass rush. Can you get in and disrupt him early and maybe force him into some of those mistakes?
I think that has to be what it is, because if you want to just sit back and allow him to get comfortable, he will get comfortable. And clearly he never did that against the Colts. And if the Patriots want to sit back and allow him to find those dangerous weapons, then he will.
I mean, it's a dramatic offseason. Tyreek Hill seemingly wanted out. Then he was like, okay, never mind, and I'll apologize to everyone. When you have that much drama in the offseason, do you think that could be credited to their really slow start, or are there bigger issues there?
You can't look at that and say, oh, they're going to be just as inept at home against the Patriots, you've got to assume you're going to take their best shot.
Absolutely, especially offensively, they will respond. There's too much talent on the offensive side of the ball, in Achane as well, with the speed that he has out of the backfield. They'll find a way to be more productive offensively. The question is, can you force some mistakes from Tua like they did, like he had against Indy? And, the defense from Miami, the secondary in particular, has been riddled with injuries. They lost another player in Storm Duck. I just wanted to say Storm Duck, so
Great name.
I figured I'd throw it out there. But he left the game in the second quarter and didn't return. So they've been dealing with significant injuries at cornerback all summer long, and evidently that continued during the season. So this should be a game the Patriots offense can start to feel better about itself.
Looking at their defense, you mentioned the issues with the secondary, but what are some of their other strengths and weaknesses there?
Well, credit to the Colts offensive line, but they were getting blasted off the ball consistently in that game. And I think that, for me, is a positive sign for the Patriots if I'm saying, hey, let's start with our run game. Let's get our run game going. Let's get Drake into some favorable third down distances. See if you can get some movement like that in the run game and start to open your offense up that way.
Sneaky thing in this game, too, after a performance like that, Miami's going to be shaken a little bit. So getting off to a good start, I think, is imperative. Make Miami think, oh, here we go again. If you drop this game down in Miami and then you're looking at Pittsburgh coming in, all of a sudden you start to question, well, is this really any different than what it's been in the past? So I do think it's important. Both teams at a crossroads here. Both teams struggling with confidence.
Joining me now in the studio is Patriots cornerback Alex Austin. Alex, how are we doing today?
I'm good. Thank y'all for having me.
So entering year 3, I know the result wasn't what you guys were hoping for against the Raiders, but what's something you feel really good about specifically to the secondary, about how you guys performed in that game?
I feel like we did a good job communicating. That was a big emphasis for us in the secondary room. Just make sure we communicate, everybody's on one accord. But I feel like things that we have to clean up wise is just going out there and limiting the X plays, being able to make sure we're on our details, technique, and fundamentals on every given play is going to be big for us.
You've been down there to Miami before. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. What makes that tandem so difficult to cover, and what do you guys have to do this week to limit their production?
Oh, man, yeah, you said it right there. Those two guys, they fast, They're both guys who can stretch the field and have a lot of speed. So for us, just being able to know where those guys are at all times and being on our keys in every call, making sure we're being physical, putting hands on those guys when we get a chance to put hands on them, and just playing all around, flying around, playing good football.
Thank you so much, Alex, and good luck on Sunday. We'll be back with more Patriots Unfiltered after the break.
Patriots Unfiltered on TV is brought to you by Cross Insurance, official insurance broker of the New England Patriots, and by Sports Illustrated Tickets, 50 million sports, concerts, and theater tickets. Same seats, better prices. Fans deserve better.
You're watching Patriots Unfiltered on TV.
Football is back, but so was frustration in Foxborough during the home opener. In this week's Trash Talk, Paul Perillo and Mike Dussault debate on what aspect of the Patriots you don't need to worry about this season.
There were certainly some issues for the Patriots in their loss to the Raiders in Week 1, but I'm here today to tell you, Paul, that one thing I'm not quite as worried about is the pass protection, and I've heard a lot of complaints about that. Based on what we saw last year, it wasn't great in Week 1, but I think it was better, and with 2 rookies on the left side, I'm feeling like that's going to be on a positive trajectory. It's not perfect yet, but I'm not quite pushing the panic button right yet on this pass protection.
So I do agree with 2 rookies, you should get better. I'm still concerned about it generally because I worry about everything all the time. That's what I do as a Boston-bred kid. But I didn't think the pass protection in the opener against the Raiders was terrible, but it also wasn't great. And even more concerning to me, Mike, and I noticed you glossed over the lack of opening in the running game at all. That group is going to take some time to settle down, but the question is, do they have enough time to allow that to happen where they can do some of the things that some of the prognosticators think that this team is capable of doing, and that's compete for a playoff spot?
I'm glad you brought up the run game, Paul, because I think that's huge key, and I think that will help them get better at the pass protection. When you get down to that end of that game, we're in a throw-only situation where I know your stat, I think they threw 20-plus times to end the game, so that's a one-dimensional game. That's allowing your defensive pass rushers to tee off and come at the offensive line with everything they've got. So if you can get better at the run game, that's going to help the pass game get better too.
Yeah, that would help things, but they're going to have to get better. I mean, the rookies, I think Campbell had 2 penalties, Wilson had 1. They allowed pressures, they allowed sacks. I do think it will get better. I'm not sure I'm as optimistic about it getting better as quickly as you're indicating, but it wasn't great. It was better than last year, which is a really, really low bar, and I think that's what people are focusing on. Well, it's not a train wreck. It's not like it was last year. I'm just not convinced it's that much better.
Yeah, I do like that point, though, Paul, and I think that's something that you can clean up. The mistakes down the end, the false starts down the end, certainly a number of those penalties directly affected big plays and set them back. You need a big drive, you get a call right off the gate, and you're backed up, 5 yards or whatever it might be. So I think cleaning up those things is a little bit easier. Now, you're right. Will it all come together and look great? We'll have to see, but some places to start, I think, at least. Well, how will the offensive line look against Miami? Stay tuned for predictions.
Now back to Patriots Unfiltered on TV.
It is prediction time. Gentlemen, the Patriots have not won, as we know, in Miami since 2019, which feels like a really long time ago. Mike, do you think the Patriots will get their first win of the season at Hard Rock Stadium?
I'm going to say yes, and I think this is a really tall task for the Patriots. I expect a much better Dolphins team to come out than what they showed in Indianapolis, but I think the Patriots, a little bit of magic, comes down to the end. I'm going to say 22-21 Patriots, that kind of game. Maybe you go for a 2-point conversion at the end to pull it out. I'm on the Patriots positivity train, Paul.
But I love the 2-point conversion with no time on the clock.
There you go.
Did I just invent the no time on the clock?
No, I like that. We'll go with that.
Yeah, I wish I had his optimism. I'm going to go the other way. I've been here too long, and I've been to too many games in Miami where even with the better team, the Patriots seem to fly back home wondering how they dropped another one down there. And Miami has to be better than they played in that first game. I'm going to say 27-16 Miami.
Okay, we have a close score, but I'm glad that you're the pessimist on this edition because I was it last week. We're going to switch places. 27-17, the Patriots bounce back and give a little life to this season.
I like Mike's 2-point conversion.
That's going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered on TV. As a reminder, you can catch us on Patriots Unfiltered every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from noon to 2 p.m. on Patriots.com. For Paul Perillo, Mike Dussault, I'm Alex Francisco, and we'll catch you next time on Patriots Unfiltered on TV.